No, it's very, it's attuned to what, to today's world instead of some other ways.
That's it, Mark. You're going on the road with me. You're going to be my...
It's a manager.
Now I'm 10% in the books.
Could a precursor of the first wave, could they have come in early 1900s? Because my mother was born about 1917. And I can remember her telling me as a child, your body is the temple. Your mind is what governs you. You am the I am. And I mean, all this stuff, and it never started making sense to me until really just recently.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you look at Edgar Casey, the time frame he was around, I mean, there have always been light workers, there have always been first wavers, second wavers, indigos, stuff like that. Just not at the numbers. You know, we've always had people coming in to change and to help teach and guide us. You know, all of the messiahs, you know, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, all, they were just light workers, very advanced. You know, they are here to teach us. And you know, I went through so much with my upbringing as, you know, Southern Baptist, Episcopalian, and stuff like that. And when I started studying other religions, I started realizing if you get real simple, and that's one of the things and I'm very fond of Albert Einstein, because he's like, if you don't know a subject, if you can't describe a subject simply, you don't know it. If you get real simple with every religion, they all say the same thing. It's all love. You are one. You know, the premise is always the same. So there's always been these people. And one of the things that I love talking about indigos, I love talking about crystal children, first wavers, second wavers. I love talking about these people, all of us. But we have to be careful about getting stuck on, well, if you came in after 1900, you couldn't be this, or before that, you couldn't be this, or whatever. People come in when they're needed. And there have always been people that come in completely out of their time frame. You know, the energy is completely different, but they plant a seed. You know, they come in and do a lot of damage and dig up the dirt and plant a seed, and then that starts, you know, the cycle. So yeah, absolutely.
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs.
I mean, he came in for a short period of life, changed the world, and left. He's off to do something else now.
That reminds me of the old saying, the good die young. One of the reasons the good die young is because they've already done what they came here to do. You know, and a good test of if you still have stuff to do, if you can't lay down, close your eyes, and get out of your body and leave, you still got stuff to do. If you can't lay down and die, you still got stuff to do. So if you're still here, you still got work to do. Now, figuring out what that work is where we're going next. So does anybody have any questions about, did anything come up over the break, or were you just getting water and stuff, and chit-chatting? Is there any questions about what we kind of discussed at the very end? Good. That means I get to talk more. So most of my book, most of my work deals with perspective. Perspective is really just a laser keen filter focus point on who you are. What is your perspective? What creates your perspective? If you do a lot of Course in Miracles work, or you talk to a lot of Buddhists like that, they tell you, nothing means anything. Nothing means anything until you put a judgment on it, until you use perspective. There is no good or bad. There is no really black or white, good and evil, stuff like that. It's all perspective. And your perspective is derived from your experiences. And your experiences start from what you bring with you. You are who you are. Then you come into this world and you are given parents and grandparents and society and schools and and all this information and stuff that gets kind of compounded. And that's why you have, like Dolores talks about, a lot of the first wavers, they want to commit suicide. Because they came in, they did what they were supposed to do, and they were still miserable. Because it wasn't who they were, but they still did their job. A lot of the light workers nowadays don't realize they're light workers. They're not aware of it. But just by being who they are and vibrating, you know, everything's vibration. So if you just do what you do, and you are who you are, you're still changing the world. You're still helping everybody. But if you're aware of it, then you can focus it. You can put some energy behind it. And put thought and feeling, or thought and emotion together to make a feeling. A lot of the prayer that we are doing, either in a religious standpoint, or in a meditative standpoint, or in a law of attraction standpoint, a lot of these visualizations and prayers that we're doing is just trying to create a feeling. If you look at a lot of Native American and a lot of the old tribal traditions, the feeling is the prayer. Okay? So if you're doing law of attraction, they tell you to think positively. The reason you start thinking positively is your feelings are a combination of emotion and thought. Okay? You take, say, thought is the direction, and feeling is the power. And you get, emotion behind that. So say the thought is the arrow, and the feeling is the string that you pull back. You release that, gives you the feeling. These are things you're trying to develop in the law of attraction. And the reason I spend so much time working on people's perspective and who they are is that when you realize where you come from, you realize why you think the way you do, you realize what your filters are, you start realizing that what you like, what resonates with you, these are the things that you're here to do. These are the things that are part of your path. These are the things that are going to help you along the way. A lot of times we'll get real inspired, we'll watch The Secret, we'll watch The Secret Behind the Secret, we'll watch all these things and decide that I'm going to use the law of attraction, I'm going to make $1 million. Probably not. Some people might, but the only real reason that you won't is that, do you know what it feels like to have $1 million? I don't know. I would like to, I plan on it, but at this moment, I don't. And that's all because I haven't developed the thoughts and the feelings to get to that space. And that's why when you start this process, you start using law of attraction, you start figuring out who you are, you a lot of times, and I'm going to patent this so nobody steal it, but you fall into the 12-step, 2-step. And the 12-step, 2-step is really a process of relearning, reintegration, relearning, reintegration. You're teaching yourself a new thought, and then you're falling back on the old pattern to reintegrate and to refocus that thought. If you follow Joe Dispenza at all, if you've watched What the Bleep Do We Know and Down the Rabbit Hole and all that, it's a lot of neural pathway mapping, or it's, what do you call it? Anyway, it's all about how your thoughts create neural pathways. I'm not Joe, I can't remember his spiel, which is probably a good thing. But each thought that you have creates a new neural pathway. The more you think that thought, the bigger that neural pathway gets, the more solid it gets. So if you've been thinking a thought for 30 years, and you decide, I don't like this thought, I'm going to change it, there are 2 ways to change it. There's the process way, kind of long, hard, 12-step way, or there's the catastrophe way. One's quicker, but it hurts a lot more. You've seen a lot of people that they've been living their life a certain way, you want them to change, you think they need help, you can't help them, they're not there yet. Then they have a car accident, somebody dies, something bad happens, they change on a dime. That is the catastrophe way, and it's one way to do it. Probably not all of us want to do it that way. A lot of us need to do it the more kind of gradual way. So, as you look at your life and decide you want to be a reporter, you want to look at your parents, you want to look at your